Hi guys, it's Dakota. Hope everybody's doing well and welcome to the Hallowed Cauldron. Well, today I really don't have any specific content or subject matter to talk about. I have something planned, but as you can see, here I am upstairs. As opposed to the witch cottage, it's just still a little too cold and breezy for me to be out there. It was like 51 when I went and checked this afternoon inside the cottage, and it takes a couple hours to get that warmed up. So I was like, well, that can wait, and we'll talk about that another day. But what do I do today? Because I didn't have anything planned. So I was going through just some old notes that I had, and I decided, there was some stuff that I wanted to do for myself personally. And we had talked about this. Gosh, who was it? I don't know. Somebody I was talking to. We were talking about, and now I know who it is, but I'm not going to say because, I don't want to out anybody. But if you're watching, you'll know. We were talking about, oh, I'm such a bad witch. I'm such a bad pagan because we don't, how many times do you not make the sacrifice to do your work? Um, and I would like to say, oh, I never do that, um, because as you know, if you've watched any of my videos, when I'm talking about the Sabbats, especially, but sometimes the Espats as well, I'm not a big Sabbat witch, as far as doing ritual for Sabbat. Now, I do it with my class, my Witchcraft 101 class that I teach. We do the Sabbats, and I think that's really important. And I always end up having a great time. I always think, gosh, I should do this. But the difference is I'm with my group. And to do solitary Sabbath just isn't, it's just, I can't do it. Like, I mean, there's just, Samhain is another story. That's a different story. Um, I think that I probably would get into summer solstice and do that as well, alone, because I'm a summer girl, as you know. So I think that I would do that. I would do something. But the other Sabbats, I think they just sort of pass, and maybe I'll light a candle. It's not that I ever forget it. It's not that I don't forget it, and it certainly is not that I am not grateful. And that because I do follow the wheel of the year, I follow the Sabbats, and I know, I follow the Esbats as well as I can, especially the dark moon, because that is the moon that I use for the majority of my spell work. And but I do use the full moon as well. I use all the moons. It doesn't matter to me what, I don't care what phase the moon is in. I can't talk too much about that because I'm going to talk about that into my class. So I don't want them pre-watching this video. Um, anyway, so I was just going through some of my notes and seeing, and thinking about the conversation about not taking time for ourselves. And when I say that, I mean not taking time for ourselves in our practice, in our work, and making that time to making time to do our spiritual work. So in other words, here I am on YouTube making this, and when I'm done, then I got to go upload it, and right? All the things. Well, I could be studying. I could be meditating or doing some journey work or creating or doing something of my path. But I don't feel like every waking hour we need to be doing that. I think for the most part, I walk my talk. I'm pretty much a witch all the time. And I don't like labels, but I'm using that word just so that you know. Meaning that it's not like I go around talking about, oh, look at that, that's witchy. Oh, look at that, that's this. Oh, it isn't like that. But I observe everything. I see things that I didn't see before. And when I see it, it means something different to me. And I will try to dissect it. Like, what is it? Why is it? How is it? Um, what does it correspond with? What could you use that for? Just those types of things. And it's interesting because my class right now, we're working on the elements, and I'm really pushing. If you're listening, I'm really pushing about that observation, about observe it. Start observing the elements. Start being, becoming with the elements. Start knowing, not just, oh yeah, it's windy out, that's air. Not like that. Deeper, go deeper. What is that? Kind of thing. And so anyway, so I came upstairs and I was like, let me look through some of my old notebooks and see what's up, see what's out there. What should I be doing? What haven't I done in like a very long time? And the one thing that I haven't done in a very, very long time is scrying. Now, I think that there's different ways of scrying. So there's scrying where you scry into a flame, or you scry into your water bowl, or just different, that kind of scrying. But I love to, and I think we all kind of enjoy this, looking up into the clouds and trying to see, like, oh, there's a dog, I see a dog. Oh, look, there's a man's face. Oh, I see this, I see that, right? It's fun to do that. Um, I do it at work all the time. I drive myself crazy, probably drive coworkers crazy, and that is I find images in rocks. I find images in things, and I'm like, oh look, like we just had a piece of petrified wood slab. It was a slab, and I was just looking at it. By the way, I love petrified wood. If you do ancestor work, petrified wood is phenomenal. I love working with petrified wood for ancestor work. Try it on journeys if you do journey work, and you're trying to commune with the ancestors, or that realm. Try some petrified wood. It's really awesome. And as I found this one slab, and I go, oh look, there's a little kitty cat. He's sleeping. He's taking a nap. And I mean, it looked just like a cat. And I sold it. I sold it the other day. I was pretty excited about that. So I thought, I haven't scried in a while, where you ground, where you center, where you open up your third eye, where you open up your crown chakra, where you make sure your chakras are aligned, first of all. It's really important, because if a message is going to come through and you have a blocked chakra somewhere along the line, you're not going to receive the full intent of the message. So you need to really make sure that your chakras are aligned. And yeah, and so I came upstairs and I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I am going to scry. So when I came up, I decided that I was going to use my ball. Now, this is it's not a crystal ball, so it's not quartz crystal, okay? It's lead crystal, I think, lead crystal and glass. And, yeah, so this is the ball that I use for scrying. And usually what I do is, it's got candle drippings all over it. Hint, there you go. Okay, so uh, it sits on, I put it on this, which is really cool. I think I've shown you this before. This trivet. This is an old trivet, which, they would set their hot plates on and stuff. This one came out of my antique store that I owned. I bought this one at an auction. Now, there are reproductions of this that I have seen, and usually on the backs it'll tell you, made in Taiwan or China or somewhere. but this one is fairly heavy and interesting, right? Interesting that this is an old one and yet look what we have. So it works really good for holding my ball because it is the pentacle and my ball sits right in the middle of the star. Sits right here in the middle of the star. It just sits right there. So I set that on my table. And then what I do is I put a, a tea light or a votive candle. I'm not going to leave it on there while I'm talking because that's not going to be pretty. So I set it on there, and then behind the ball, I will light my tea light candle or a votive candle behind it, and I ground and I center. I make sure that I'm completely open, and I just sort of ask, spirit, the divine, the universe, whatever label you like to put on that. I just sort of like to ask that help, that assistance to help me see whether it is vision or knowing message. And then what I do is I'll stare directly at the ball, and then I try to look through the ball and catch the flame behind it. Now, something that is really a cool thing to do, especially if you're working with, what is that? Did you guys see that? Talk about spirits. I don't know if you saw that. I'll have to see. It was this thing that popped up on my screen. I'll see if that recorded it. Woo! Okay, so what's really cool that I like to do, I should have had it ready, but of course I didn't know that I was going to be going there. Let me see what I have. Oh, well, I can show you with this. Okay, pretend this is a picture of like an ancestor that you want to connect with, or a person, someone who's passed, or a spirit guide, or whatever. It could be a pet, it could be a plant, whatever. Put this image, set it up behind your ball. Yeah, this isn't going to work. Set it up behind your ball. Let me get something. Hold on. Okay, so I just got, I pulled this card from, I just grabbed the card, first card off the deck of the Samhain Oracle deck, I believe it is. Oh no, the Witches. Well, anyway, whatever. Okay, so I set my ball on the trivet, in the middle of the trivet. And then whatever, you could use a tarot card if you wanted to, but let's just say that this was an ancestor, that this is an actual photograph of an ancestor or a friend or somebody that you don't even know. Remember, it doesn't have to be ancestors, they're not necessarily DNA, okay? They don't have to be blood related to you. It's, an ancestor, they're the wise ones. They're the one that's been there, done that, and such as. So it can be, it could be a pet, it could be a plant. I mean, whatever it is that you're trying to connect with. So it could be a photograph, or it could be a tarot card if you're trying to connect that way, whatever. And what you're going to do is, I set it behind my, let me get closer here. Okay, that ball is heavy. I set it behind my ball. There you go. Get my fingers out of the way. See if I can do it like this. There we go. So I set it behind the ball, and then that gives me that person to focus with, or that card, or that whatever that you're trying to connect with. It gives the image or the energy of that person. And so then it helps your scrying even that much more. Now, sometimes when I do that, I will have 2 candles on either side. I keep putting the ball down here. I'll have a candle on each side because you need to have a little bit of light. I don't like a bright light overhead. So one of the things, like it feels, it's light in here right now. I have the overhead light on and I have the curtains open up here and I have my door open over there because this room is actually pretty dark, which is how I've made it. It's because I do my meditations and my journey work up here, and so I do like it dark. Um, so in this case, if I wanted to use that, or if I'm going to use my crystal ball, I'm okay to turn all the lights out, close the blinds, close the door. I can have my incense going. I can have music if you want a good music going on, or if you just want you and your own self, and you just really need to let your mind go. Now, you're still going to have thoughts, which is fine. It's kind of like that mindful meditation where, um, you know, and I teach mindful meditation at the store, and that is when you have a thought, and you're going to have a thought, we're not Buddhist monks, you're going to have, we're that meditate 10, 12 hours a day. So you're going to have a thought, and they rush by so quick you don't even know half the thoughts that you have. But in mindful meditation is we acknowledge the thought, we don't get mad at it, we don't judge it, we don't think about it, we see it, let it go, see it, let it go. And you can even in your quiet mind say, I'm thinking about laundry, let it go. I'm thinking about work, let it go. I'm thinking about the kids, let it go. So whenever that thought comes through, you just let it go. And eventually over time, and this is a daily practice, I worked on this for years before I finally got to this point, and that is that you finally get to the point where in the beginning, at least this is me, and this is my observation. What happens with me is in the beginning of my work, my meditation or my journey, um, I can feel myself like I'm consciously aware that I'm letting that thought go. I'm consciously aware that I have this thought, and I'm consciously aware that I'm letting that thought go. That happens until eventually you just go, okay, stop doing that and just allow it. Don't judge it. Don't judge yourself. It's going to happen. You know that it's going to happen. So now you can just let it go. You can just go, there's a thought, boom, there's a thought, boom, there's a thought, boom. And eventually you'll go, oh, I'm thinking about the laundry. Oh, I'm thinking about my car. And you're like, whoa, what was that? That was like a 2-second pause, a 2-second of no thought. I doubt that there was no thought, but the brain and the mind is trained to not acknowledge them and to let them go. I hope that makes sense. So eventually you get to a point where it is kind of that Zen, it is kind of that free space where you're not actively thinking or actively acknowledging that you're even having a thought. You're not actively acknowledging. Whew, that's a mouthful. You are not actively acknowledging that you are having thoughts because you have worked to just let them come and go, come and go, come and go. I'm aware that I'm going to have them and they're just going to go. When you get to that point, that is when you can literally have these communications and these visions with spirit, ancestor, whatever it is that you're trying to connect with, and it can be really, really profound. I do that often when I do scry. I mean, when I scry, so not often because this is what I'm saying. I should be scrying more. This kind of scrying. Not like, oh, do you see this in this cloud or in this piece of petrified wood? Not that kind of scrying, but where you are actually trying to commune scry. And you're actually trying to get a message or get an answer or at least get a vision, something like that. And yeah, so I love I have done that. I do that, or I wouldn't know that. I do that, and mostly when it gets closer to Samhain, would I be doing that particular exercise? Again, I haven't scried in probably, I would say, I don't think I've scried at all this year, and we're in March, so I haven't done any scrying this year. I like to scry at least once or twice a month. Really, I mean, because you want to keep you want to keep active, right? You want to keep active with that. So you want to keep your mind trained for that and keep. So it's important to do that. But what I wanted to say is that the scrying with a picture behind, I don't do as often when I am scrying as when I just have the flame behind. And I do like to have a little bit of flicker to the flame. So a lot of times I will keep a ceiling fan on, or I want air to kind of be circulating because I don't want just a still flame. For whatever reason, when that flame kind of flickers a little bit, it activates my visions better than a still flame, if that makes sense. I don't know. I've done it with a still flame, and I just find it a little bit harder. I don't know. And I don't know if it's because as it's flickering, it's creating visions. I really don't know. But um, both ways, all those ways, you can try all of those ways and see, what works best for you. And there's also water scrying. And gosh, I didn't even know I was going to go this deep into it. I should have done a video on scrying with other methods. Maybe I will. Maybe I will in the future. I'll put that in my topic list. Um, and really, I really wasn't. I just thought I came up here. I just wanted to go through some old notes, and and that was based on the conversation that we had about, do you ever feel bad about not uh, not being as committed, today as you should be? How do you make time? How do you, talking about sacrifice and how you make time, and that's just it. You make time. My devotional practice, that is a sacrifice. That is a sacrifice. Now, and I will say this about that though, is that I will say this about that. Um, I don't always come up and sit before the altar and light a candle and do a whole thing. This is a daily practice, so I don't do that daily, but there is always a set devotional um, hymn, mantra, chant, whatever you would like to call it, that is given daily. And so on those days when I'm procrastinating about getting ready for work or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I didn't go up, I haven't come upstairs to do my devotion. Look, if I have to just go sit in my car and do it, or, you know, whatever, close the bedroom door, or whatever, we don't have doors, but you know what I mean? You have to kind of just sometimes, and it might just be within, you might have to just go within and do that. But yeah, so in answer to that question, yeah, there's a lot of times that that I feel like I'm not doing all that I should be doing. And the thing is, I don't beat myself up. I don't beat myself up about it because I just feel like I do. I'm not going to say that I do enough because I think that I could probably do more. but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'm trying to make an excuse, so I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna stop. I promise I am not trying to make an excuse, but that's what it sounds like. So I can't explain it, so I'm just gonna stop. All right. So that was it. That was my no topic of the day that turned into talking about scrying and California and the South and all of that, beaches and waves and everything. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Okay, well, um, see you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Love you guys. Bye.